You want to add weight to the bar? Stop. Don't do it yet. There's actually 5 reasons why you shouldn't add weight to the bar, or to put it differently, you'll get better results if you do what we're about to talk about.
I like this.
Yes. Great idea you came up with here.
Oh, look at you giving me credit today. Jeez, you are.
We are evolving.
Huh? Yes, we are. We can.
You guys are playing nice.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll start with the first one just so people aren't waiting too long. When the risk outweighs the benefit, this is when adding weight to the bar is probably not a good idea. But the reason why we're having this conversation is because, well, number one, getting stronger is extremely important. It really, really is. And for the first few years, this is probably one of the top things you should be concerned with. But after that, it can become an issue, and it can definitely become an issue when the risks start to become larger than the benefit. And this starts to happen when you start to get really strong. Mm-hmm. Like when you start to get really strong, having bad technique or having your form be off by 5% as a man with, let's say, 100 pounds on your back, I mean, that could cause an injury. But if your form is off 5% with 300 pounds on your back, well, now you're talking about
a lot higher risk factor,
very high risk of injury. And at that point, you want to ask yourself, is adding 20 pounds to the bar going to give me better results than slowing down my form or having better technique or making it feel heavier? And oftentimes, especially when you're experienced, adding weight to the bar is not the best option.
Yeah, and I think too, you highlighted earlier, like this is the part of the maturity. Like you earn your way into this sort of mentality, like coming in and obviously loading the bar for progressive overload's a definite function of starting out. And this is something we need to build in terms of foundational strength. But there's a lot of other variables you can manipulate there to lower that overall risk factor now and still make great progress.
You have to ask yourself too, what's your goal? Because many times the client's goal, I mean, yes, they want to be strong, but they're not chasing a specific number. Right. They're like, hey, I just want to be strong and healthy, and or I want to look good, which is really what most people are trying to achieve, is to be fitter, feel fitter, look fitter. And if you're already stronger than your peers because you've been training consistently for the last 3 years, then adding 5 or 10 more pounds to the bar doesn't always make sense.
Right. Especially
in the context of it's a like risky movement. It's a compound lift, or it's an area where you don't have perfect form or can be off slightly. Slow the tempo down. Yep. I mean, you're far better off doing that. And that still increases the intensity. It still progressively overloads the body. You'll still build muscle from that. So yeah, I think more often than not, as a trainer, I would default this way. It was only the occasional client where I was like, oh, I just keep stacking more weight.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think when you're training people, if you're a good trainer, weight on the bar never trumps technique or stability or control, ever. So the only time I would add weight to the bar, even with new clients, where adding weight to the bar is going to give you huge returns, right? When you first start strength training, getting stronger, adding weight to the bar gives you huge, huge benefits, but never at the compromise of technique or form. Because even if you don't hurt yourself, you're going to get strong in ways that don't benefit you, and you're not going to develop the kind of muscle you think because your technique is off. And this can lead to dysfunction. It can lead to a lot of different issues. But then later, when you're really strong, or you get real strong, this really starts to fall down the list of priorities. Like I have a personal experience with this. It was a few years ago where I had broke my previous deadlift PR. I had deadlifted 605 pounds. And I remember after I did that, after about a month later, I thought to myself, I said, it would be really cool if I pulled 700 pounds before I turned 50, because at the
what
time
a stupid goal.
I was 45. I'm like, 700 pounds.
That idea just like creeps in there.
But what would the benefits be of getting that? Am I going to develop a much different looking body? No, at that point, it's just technique. It's specific types of training. It's neural output. And what benefits am I going to get from it versus the potential risk of really bad injury? Like you hurt yourself deadlifting 200 pounds. Okay. If I hurt myself deadlifting 650 pounds, it's probably going to be an injury that's going to affect me maybe for the rest of my life. Maybe not debilitate me, but probably affect me long term. And what gains would I get from that? Yeah. Not that much. Would I get the same kind of gains by training differently, slowing down my tempo, improving my connection, whatever? Yeah, I'll get just as great a gains from doing that. So you have to ask yourself, especially if you're advanced, is the risk of getting, now if you're going to compete in powerlifting and that's the name of the game, that's fine, that's a sport. But if you do this for fitness and health and looking good and feeling good, you know, you ask yourself, like, all right, what are the benefits of adding 50 pounds to my 300-pound squat?
If you can't name what it translates into real life for you, it's pretty much worthless.
Yeah.
If you can't be like, well, now I can do that thing now. It's like, what thing can you not do at a 500-pound deadlift that you can now do at a 600-pound lift?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's funny now too, because it's like I'm so looking forward to getting back into that mentality and the way, you know, I was training before, trying to really press the envelope and get into that, like, you know, crazy PR type of training. But it's so nerve-wracking now too at that point. Like if you're towing that line every time I train, I'm like, oh my God, like don't exceed it. Don't overdo it, you know, pull back, recover. And it's because the risk factor is so much higher.
Yeah.
You know, when you're really shooting for that.
Yeah.
Listen, you could if you take a client who's middle age or advanced age and they've never trained before, they struggle walking up their stairs or getting up out of bed or doing things like that, and you get that client to now all of a sudden squat 135, 150 pounds. That's life-changing. Life-changing for that person. From that point on, though, them going from 150 to 250, it doesn't make that big of a difference in their life anymore. And then the new risk you put them at by doing that is just
the higher that number gets, the less.
Greater.
Like you said, like if a new person adds 50 pounds to their lifts, it changes their life. If you're advanced and you're lifting heavy weights and you add 50 pounds to your lifts, you feel nothing different. If except for maybe more aches and pains and stiffness. So again, you have to look at the risk versus the reward, and can I get the same rewards or similar rewards without adding weight to the bar? And when you're advanced, oftentimes the answer is yes. Adding weight to the bar is probably not the smart thing.
There's so many parts of training that you could focus on that like don't even involve like lifting really heavy weight. Like you could just fill in so many gaps and be such a better overall performing person, you know, if you just like shift the focus.
Here's another reason or time when it's not better to add weight to the bar, and that's when your range of motion can be improved. So if you're squatting and you're going down to 90 degrees and you're like, wow, I'm stronger, I'm going to add weight to the bar. Why don't you just not add weight to the bar and go a little lower? You'll actually get better results by doing that. You'll actually build more muscle. You'll get a more balanced looking physique. You'll reduce your risk of injury. You'll get more benefit from doing that with less risk, so long as it's done within reason, than you would by adding weight to the bar. So if your range of motion is limited and you're stronger, challenge your range of motion. Don't challenge the load. That's actually the worst thing you could do at that point.
Or work towards getting a greater range of motion, because the reality is you're probably not going to be able to, if you only squat down to say 90 degrees with whatever weight and lightening it up, you may not necessarily be able to go any deeper with good form, because that's where what's happening is your form probably breaks down. But it's the work you have to put in order to get a deeper squat that has so much more return.
Right.
So you take somebody who has now reached say 200 something pounds in a squat and they're only squatting 90 degrees, and I say, okay, as a client, we're going to strip the weight down. We're going to do like an isometric hold at the bottom. We're going to do some 90-90s, ankle work. We're going to get to a place where we can get 6 more inches of depth. And all that work in order to get those extra 6 inches are so valuable to that client, far more than if we would have added 25 or 50 more pounds to that squat.
I remember as a kid learning how to shoulder press, and I remember the first certifications we got with shoulder press told you to limit your range of motion down to 90 degrees. It was really just the safe way of them teaching trainers how to not hurt people, but it wasn't the best way to train. But anyway, I was shoulder pressing like this forever, and I remember getting convinced to go all the way down and go much lighter, and my shoulders blew up. I got so much better results, way better function. I was stronger on all my lifts, and my delts looked better from the fuller range of motion versus just adding weight to the bar with that short range of motion. The full range of motion was superior. One of the other reasons is when you need more recovery. When you're feeling a bit fried, it's probably better to slow your reps down and make the weight feel heavier than it is to add weight to the bar. Adding weight to the bar can definitely hammer your ability to recover. So you can still have a good workout. You're just not going to go heavier. Instead, you're going to make the weight feel heavier. And this tends to translate into less damage to the body. It just tends to. Now, I know people can make the argument you can make lightweight feel just as intense as heavyweight, but there's something about the heavyweight, whether how it's affecting the stabilizers or your balance, maybe the fear factor of it, who knows? I mean, I could come up with a list of reasons, But I know that if I lift a lighter weight and make the weight feel heavier, I seem to recover faster than if I max out with the weight.
It's more extrinsic, not intrinsic. Because intrinsically, you could obviously like struggle more. You could produce more effort, which does apply to that. But yeah, it's so much less of a risk and better for your body a lot of times to kind of focus more on like your own effort into it.
Well, this is a quick recipe to get in that what you call the recovery trap.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is what happened. I mean, we were probably all guilty of this as early lifters, just thinking that being that sore was a part of being that sore. And I remember many workouts heading into it and being really, really sore and going like, oh, I just got to push it again. And then your body's constantly trying to recover versus adapting from it. So I think it's a quick recipe for someone to get stuck in that recovery trap by training this way, when you'd be far better off lightening the load, working on range of motion, and you're going to get as strong, if not stronger. You'll recover faster, just a far better, smarter way to approach it.
Totally. Today's program giveaway is MAPS Split. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have 1 day left for the May special. MAPS 15 Performance and the RGB bundle, half off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and use the code MAY50 for the discount. Back to the show. Next is, this is why bodybuilders tend to do this, because really advanced bodybuilders are good at this, is when you have a lagging body part. This is especially true for compound lifts. If you have let's say a prime mover in a compound lift, like your glutes when you squat or your chest when you bench press, and you're like, you know what? I bench press and I'm getting stronger. My delts and my triceps are developing, my chest isn't. Or you're like, I'm squatting, I'm getting stronger, but my butt doesn't seem to be responding well. Rather than adding weight to the bar, modify your technique to start to feel and connect to those lagging body parts. Oftentimes, when I trained somebody with a lagging body part and we were doing those compound lifts, I would lighten the load and slow down and say, squeeze and feel it here. Because here's what happens. When you do a compound lift, your body doesn't think body parts. It doesn't think,
no, it says move the weight.
Hit chest, hit glutes.
Movement focused.
It thinks move the weight in the most efficient way possible. Now, most efficient meaning the way your body moves in the best way, which means you could have muscle groups that aren't firing the way they should, but your body learned to move that way, so that's how you're going to move the most weight.
Compensation.
That's right. So you're quad dominant when you squat, or you're bench pressing and you're tricep and shoulder dominant. Well, lighten it up and change the technique a little bit. Focus on those lagging body parts, and then watch what happens. This was my recipe for people with lagging body parts. Was lighten it up, squeeze those areas. Let's see what happens.
Throw some isometric, some unilateral type exercises, so you can really kind of hone in on reconnecting to that muscle.
I actually think this is something that just a general rule for all lifters is you should run a series or a cycle every year of unilateral work, just to do a diagnostics, to come back and check on that. Because if you do a lot of barbell lifting, you ends up happening what you said, is that you're concerned about lifting the bar over your head or getting the bar up off your chest, and you're not thinking about, oh, is my left and my right firing equally? And you don't notice that discrepancy until you go to unilateral work, and then you see the unilateral work and you go, oh my God, my left side is 10 pounds weaker in all these lifts.
Watch what that does to your bar path too.
Yeah.
How much more vertical you can get.
Huge difference. And I think this is like, it's always evolving and changing. So even as you get really experienced, say you've been lifting as long as one of us, I still have these periods of time where I'll go back to it and I'll say, oh, wow, I created a little bit of an imbalance again. So the more barbell work you do, the more likely you will find these imbalances. And it's just good habits to annually check back in and go, hey, you know what, I'm going to run a unilateral cycle right now and just pay attention to my left and right and try and balance it just from me, versus let's keep pushing the barbell movements and see if I can add another 20 pounds.
That's right. And then lastly, maybe when you're limited on time, maybe you have a home gym and you have those dumbbells that require you to unscrew the ends and add weight to, or you just at the gym and you got to get up and go add weight. And you're like, okay, I'm supposed to do 12 reps, but this weight feels a little light. I think I'm getting 15 reps with it. Well, instead of having to get up and grab the weights because you're limited, just slow your reps down. Make the weight feel heavy so that now you perform the desired amount of reps with the desired amount of intensity. In fact, this is what I do nowadays. When I train nowadays at the gym, rarely do I add weight to the bar for the third or fourth set. It's typically, oh, I miscalculated my weight. It's a little light. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna slow down. I'll hit my desired rep range by slowing the reps down and making it feel hard at the 10 rep mark rather than adding weight to the machine.
I love this tip. This is how you solve a hotel gym problem, right?
Oh, totally.
I mean,
they go up to 50-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
And
so I mean, that's at my. Well, I take that back. I just recently ordered the heavier ones, but I was lifting it to 50-pound dumbbells at my house for the longest time. And you know, I love just grab one pair of dumbbells and then I get an entire workout right there, because even the exercises where 50 pounds seems light, I just got to slow the tempo down or go unilateral and split stance and do things like that, and it'll intensify it just fine. So this idea that we always have to add weight to the bar, yes, it has tremendous value. Yes, early on, I mean, it's really good, and it's important that we focus on strength. But at some point, the returns are diminishing.
100%. All right, I gotta go through that study, Adam, that you shared with me.
I saw it come up from give the credit to Jim Quick. It was on his post,
Yeah, dude.
and I saw that and I went, "Oh my God, that's alarming."
So this is a well-made study, and up until now, we've speculated that easy access to the internet and social media is probably negatively affecting our ability to focus or concentrate. It maybe has some negative effects on cognitive performance and function.
Yeah, we're outsourcing everything.
But up until now, a lot of it's been speculative. Now, the speculation, I think, has been on point, because the way that your smartphone and its apps and social media and all this stuff, the way that they're all engineered is very similar to the way that, you know, processed foods have been engineered, right? So processed foods are expertly engineered to make you overeat. Okay, these social media apps and all stuff on the internet and stuff, it's even more well engineered, because they actually engineer themselves in real time. So like if you're on social media, the algorithm will engineer it to you personally. So imagine eating a processed food
that was perfect for you.
That's hard to resist. It's already hard to resist Oreos. You're eating them. Yeah. Except the Oreos now get feedback from you and can make themselves more sweet, more salty, more crunchy based on your personal.
A little more olive oil for Sal.
Yeah. Thanks. More
Dude, imagine technology getting that far where you know, every food that you eat tastes
that would take
like your favorite favorite food.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine everything was cheese, bro. You could eat everything.
I
eat a big old thing of salmon, but it tasted like cheese. You know what I'm saying? How amazing that would be, right?
If somebody can figure that out, I'll eat fish.
Not to go off, I thought about you the other day. Someone got a Ritz cracker. You know how they have the little holes in it?
Yeah.
It was like a hack, and then he put the little spray cheese through the hole in the middle and sprayed it, and it perfectly made like this cheese like topping on it. And I'm like, Justin.
I've probably done that already.
Yeah, it's like, I've done that.
Anyway, so the study was actually well done. So what they did with the study is they did a month-long randomized control trial. The goal was to investigate how removing constant access to the internet through smartphones might impact psychological functioning. They used a mobile phone application to block all mobile internet access from participants' smartphones for 2 weeks and objectively track their compliance. So are they off? Like, let's track them.
And I believe they were the only things they were allowed to do was take phone calls and text message.
That's right. So the intervention specifically targeted the feature that makes smartphones smart, so the mobile internet, while allowing participants to maintain mobile connection through text and calls and non-mobile access to the internet. So they'd have to go to their desktop computer to get on the internet. The intervention improved mental health, subjective well-being, and objectively measured ability to sustain attention. 91% of participants improved on at least one of those outcomes. Almost everybody got better.
Okay, so
and at least one of those things that I mentioned.
Okay, so we discussed recently. I brought it up to you guys about a friend of mine that's going through with his son with the ADD, potential ADD medication and stuff. And I said, how is that not a study to prove that the games and things like that, that's 100%, right?
Yep.
So these shows like Cocomelon and these TV, especially the part about this that's really insidious is that it's especially true in these children's video games. Their video games, their television shows are. Have you heard? Like, I know you know about Cocomelon. Do you know how they figure that out? Like, they literally put all these kids in, and as soon as the kids lose attention, they switch. They change. Okay, we got to edit that. We got to change what we do right there. Switch the color. Switch to this. Okay, good. Do it again, and then they just keep doing that. until they can keep these kids completely looped in for the entire duration of the show. And then, okay, then we've made one, now the next one. And they just keep doing that. And so you do that to a kid and he's getting all that stimulation, then he plays video games, and then you want him to sit in a classroom for an hour and learn about history, or like, are you kidding me? And then wonder why he can't sit still and doesn't want, I mean, it's fascinating to me that this isn't discussed more. And when I Googled, like I told you when it first came up, I started searching, and when you search, they don't say that it causes any of that. So there's no video game, YouTube, there's no articles out there or studies that are showing that it could cause ADD, but there's clearly a correlation to that with what we're seeing from this, right? Isn't that similar? Isn't that what it's basically saying?
Yeah, the issue.
I mean, it's not saying it's causing ADD, but I mean, for somebody who struggles with potentially
the potential's there, it's got to be aggravating.
It's
accelerating.
Again, okay, I'll use kids as an example. We'll go back to health because it's a health and fitness podcast. Go to the grocery store and go look at all the kids' foods. The most engineered crap you'll find are for kids. Now, why is that? Because parents don't want to struggle with getting their kids to eat. And so if a food manufacturer can make a food that a kid will eat on their own, parents naturally will go to that, because raising kids is hard, it's tough, it's stressful. And you look, my kids want to eat and I put out this food, they don't want to eat it. Now, rather than I put it out and they love it and they eat it and it seems okay type of deal. By the way, oftentimes what they do is they wrap this in something that's healthy. So your kids are watching attention destroying educational content, but they're learning.
Well, that's what CoComelon. That's why CoComelon is so insidious, because you're like, oh, well, they're learning these songs and they're learning colors.
At what cost?
Right.
Is what's happening. But this was adults. This study was done on adults. Adults, our brains are not nearly as plastic as children. So who knows what the effect will be?
It's got to be
long term.
worse. It's got to be worse for kids. How malleable their brains are at that age.
It is.
No, 100%.
And so what happens with these like the attention grabbing things is you're flooding your brain with dopamine and neurotransmitters, and your brain starts to adjust and downregulate receptors to adjust to this flood of dopamine that would never happen naturally, right? Never would you get that kind of changing of scenery and novelty in nature. It just doesn't exist. So the brain starts to adapt to the point where normal life becomes so unstimulating you cannot pay attention. That's what happens. It's no different than eating heavily processed foods. If you eat strawberry flavored candy all the time, your brain will adjust to the point where you'll eat a real strawberry and it's going to taste bland. Nature's candy is going to taste super bland. We've all experienced that, cutting off certain foods or whatever. It's the same thing with this kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to me that it's not interesting. I think it confirms kind of what we all know. And I'm going to speak as an adult. I have to consciously, I'm constantly struggling myself with my phone, with the way that it grabs my attention. We joke about it in here all the time. So this is a real thing. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's going to be like, get a dumb phone.
Well, you see that we've seen that movement. I don't know it'd be interesting to see how popular that movement is, because
how long it lasts.
Yeah, because I've seen that there's some high school kids that are opting for the
flip phone.
Yeah, the flip phone and stuff like that. I don't know if
my cousin did.
I don't know if that's because they care more about their health, or they didn't know their parents are tracking them in smartphones. I'm not sure which one it is.
My cousin did for health reasons.
Really?
Yeah. So he's a really. I told you guys about this kid that my cousin. He's like one of the most remarkable kids I've ever met. Super growth minded, devout Catholic, just very responsible, like great kid. And he switched to a smartphone because he's like, I can't resist going on the internet and distracting myself all the time. Yeah. So now he's using a flip phone.
So I mean, maybe Doug, can you search? I'm curious to see
sales.
There's a movement behind it. Like look up dumb phone or flip phone movement.
Brick phone.
And is it catching fire? Was it a trend for a minute? Like,
are dumb phones becoming more popular?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you can look up sales. There you go.
I don't see it. I don't see any.
I know.
I've
heard. See, I've seen the articles, and I think
it's a great, novel idea. I think we sit in here and we want that, but it's not. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
You really have to isolate. You have to be comfortable with the fact that you're going to isolate yourself.
I just think it's okay. So I shared with you guys off air. Max had pneumonia and the flu the last 5 days. So it's been a rough 5 days, especially for Katrina. She's just nonstop. Now he's puking and feels miserable. So laying around the couch watching TV, right? I mean, that's kind of what all you're doing at the time. And we did that for like 4 days straight. So he's feeling much better now. We're on the mend. We're still coughing and sick, and he's not better completely, and he's still needy, but we're on the mend. Now, easily, and Katrina's got stuff to do today, easily she could go, I need to get work done, and he's laying around the couch, he's still not feeling well, I'll just let him watch TV. But knowing how much we've already given him in this short period of time and how addictive it's already become in that short period of time, like she set up all these stations for him, and she made a game out of it, right? Well, every time he completes a station, he gets a sticker, and they're all active things.
Just to pull him out.
Yeah, just to pull. And by the way, these are things that he would love to do organically and naturally, but we recognize how much the pull is in that short period of time of allowing him to do that, and that it takes a little more effort than just being like, hey, you're going to play outside, or hey, you're just going to play with these toys. So so my point is, it just takes a real conscious effort from us as parents to be aware of that. Like I always feel for like you guys who have older kids who like didn't know.
Yeah, like, I was so unaware.
Well, most people were. 15 years ago, nobody. I mean, let's be honest. 8 years ago, when I started talking about it, you guys were making fun of me.
Yeah.
Remember when I brought the book? Remember that was a big joke on this podcast? Yeah. Like, oh, Adam recommending Irresistible again. Hey, that one book, right? Like,
I still make fun of you, but
yeah. But I mean, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't
truth there. There always was truth there.
Yeah, there was just not a lot of conversation around it 10, 15 years ago. So didn't know any better. But for people that have kids now that are like my son's age or younger, it really is up to us to create those habits early on. Then I think you won't have as hard of a time with these high school kids.
I think you have to realize, I think this will help parents. You have to realize that it's you versus billions and billions of dollars of innovation and engineering. So it's you versus the smartest engineers.
Oh yeah, no, it's David versus Goliath.
Yeah, so you have to realize that because
it's attrition. It's not just like you do this and you implement it. Like it's
a struggle.
Forever.
Yeah.
You can't fucking stop. That's the thing. And we're going through that right now. That's why I'm frustrated, because it's like now you're going into summer. They don't have the structure of school. Yep. They don't have this. What am I going to do? And then they want to just geek out on video and like go out, see your friends, and so now I have to come in with the hammer and battle axe everything and throw all this shit away. And like, you're not going to get it back. And I got to be that guy, but you have to be that guy.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's not fun.
Yeah.
And it's not cool. And you're not like the best friend guy.
Yeah.
But you got to come in and you got to lay it down.
It's going to suck. So my wife is really good with the little ones and electronics and TV. Like, she's very strict. And we've done this experiment where, because I grew up watching Mr. Rogers as a kid. That's what was on TV when I was a kid. And she tells our kids, you can watch unlimited Mr. Rogers, but everything else is limited to, it's 20 minutes total for the day. If we put on Mr. Rogers, my kids will stop watching it. They'll watch it for a little while and they're done.
Yeah.
It won't keep them engaged because it's slow.
Yeah.
And and they're just, let me do something else. You put on something else, I mean, my kids will stay on there until they lose their mind.
I told you I figured that out with Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
The original Nintendo. Yeah, like Max will just get bored. Like, we'll be doing it, and he'll be
thought it was just the distance at first, because I had the same experience, because it was at least you're like pulled back from the screen, but it's so much more than that.
No, I mean,
they just didn't figure it out.
You only have 3 lives. Then you die.
Yeah, you got to
start all over. The game is slow. It has boring music. It's like, it's not visually all over the place. It's very the characters are like this, so it's, I mean, the science in that has evolved so much that I think a lot of people just don't realize how much, because I know a lot of people say exactly what I've heard this, like my buddies, when we all talk about this with our kids, and we're like, well, I also don't want to be that dad, because, we played video games. Remember we played when we were kids.
Not the same.
It wasn't the same, because what I remember we used to do, and they all agree the same thing, is like we used to play basketball, football, baseball, everything outside until the sun went down, and then we couldn't play outside anymore. Yeah. So then we had to go outside.
Second option.
And then we would play, and then we would normally stop because you eventually get bored, because it is kind of like the same thing over and over. Where, man, the way they've designed them now is not like that.
They just hang out with their friends in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the new way they hang out.
I know. So. And look, it sucks, but if you want to be healthy in the entire sense of the word health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, you can't be like everyone else. Your kids can't be like all the other kids. Yeah. Look at the data. Like, most people are not well So yeah, you're gonna have to be that guy.
You gotta stand out a bit,
and your kid's gonna be different. And what I encourage parents to do, because we've done this through our church, is find other families who are aligned, because then your kids can be with other kids who get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your kids are hanging out with other kids and are like, but my friends can do this and my friends can do that, and it's a constant battle versus. They go tell their friend, yeah, my dad won't let me be on my phone for more than 15 minutes. Like, my dad won't let me either. And it's like, okay.
Well, that makes a huge difference. I think, if you can find other parents that align with the similar values, because then the kid doesn't feel like
it makes your life easier.
Way easier. I think it's also a lot easier too. Again, if you start it early, where it takes a little bit of effort from Katrina and I right now, in hopes that when he's later in life, like he gets that. You know.
Well, I got to talk about something positive about social media, which is going to throw this whole conversation off. But I saw a really interesting, cool trend, or I don't know if it's a trend or if it's just something that this one band did that I've heard about that other bands are taking notice of. But you remember the band All American Rejects? Yeah. Super popular band back in the day.
That was Peaches, right?
No, that was
Presidents.
Presidents of the United States of America. Yeah. Okay. But anyways, they decided that they were not going to do Ticketmaster. They're not going to do like venues. They were just going to literally have their own audience, like choose a place and then get enough people to show up there, and then they would play in somebody's backyard, at a park, at a pool like place, like wherever. And then they would just plot it based off of like, you know, how many people contributed, and like if it was,
would people pay to make it happen?
Yeah, they all paid, but it's like direct to the band. And
that's
direct
great.
to them. Like they just played like house parties.
That's
and they've been
really
even
cool.
more profitable, I guess, doing this because there's no
hands in the pot.
Hands.
Yeah,
they're catering to their most.
I was like, that's so brilliant.
Fans.
Yeah, exactly. And they're getting more fervorous fans as a result.
I feel like that's the direction things are going to go with AI anyway, because AI is going to be entertaining and doing things that the real hardcore fans are the ones that are going to make business possible for a lot of these people.
Love it, dude. It's like the grassroots kind of thing is starting to poke through and you know, get rid of all these middlemen.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. Look, are you lifting weights, eating a ton of food, and struggling? You're not packing on any muscle. You're not building any muscle at all. You're not getting stronger. Well, check it out. We have a hard gainer guide. This can be your ultimate resource to turn that around. Pack on some muscle mass with our hard gainer guide. It's totally free. You can get it by downloading it, clicking on the link in the description below. That's right.
Speaking of AI, I know we have Organifi today commercial. And
I got a polyphenol study related to Organifi.
Well, tell me.
I'm going to tell you the studies. Let me pull it up. So this is a pretty cool study I read the other day. I saved it for this episode.
I saw that earlier. I thought it said polygamy.
No, polyphenol.
Weird.
Don't.
What are you into now, Sal?
No, stop it.
What's Sal?
You know, in the Old Testament. No. No. It says this is a study: 600 milligrams a day of polyphenols from fruit and vegetable concentrates. Okay, so it wasn't just from the food, but from the concentrates. Improved cognition and boosted brain biomarkers. BDNF and CREB. So BDNF is like, it's really good for the brain, right? Helps it with neuroplasticity and growth and learning. So this was from 600 milligrams a day of polyphenols. So Organifi's green juice is polyphenol city. Yeah. It is concentrated polyphenols.
You know how much?
No, but it's definitely enough to make a difference because it's concentrated. And it's got the high, polyphenols are these micronutrients with really powerful antioxidant ability or capabilities that you find in fruits and vegetables. So a concentrated form, like a green juice, which is almost no calories, so it's not like juice, would be able to create that. So
I was bringing Organifi and Drew up because of the AI conversation we had, because his AI bot was just
clone.
His clone is the fact that we're here, that's here. I mean, we were talking about that for
was trippy.
A long time on the podcast, how easy it would be to do that of one of us because of the amount of content that we have in video.
You have to explain what he did.
Yeah, so I forget the company, so maybe Doug can look up what the company is and we can shout them out or whatever. But this company basically makes a AI clone of yourself. And he literally did it right in front of us. It was so wild.
Digital Drew.
Yeah, he pulled up his clone, his clone of himself, and he said, "Hey Drew, I'm going on the Mind Pump podcast today. Do you have some tips for me?" And then
it was his voice.
Yeah. And then it tells him all these great tips, right? It basically analyzed what our show's about, what we stand for, our values, the things that we talk about, the stuff we ask questions about, and gave him all kinds of tips
now, what it did
on how to prepare for that.
And the way it works is it aggregated data from all of his podcasts and things he's written. And so it literally got his personality in it. Yeah. So like if you have, like you could plug this into this thing apparently, and it creates a clone of you, which is, what is it?
Is that
Delphi.ai.
Like
That's weird.
What are the 3 options? What does that mean?
His voice with inflections and everything.
Oh yeah, and it was like
indistinguishable.
It was really close already.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was close enough that the average person wouldn't know any better. Obviously, a
little bit of a delay, but
just a little, you know. I mean, so we're here. It's like it's only a matter of time. It'd be so fun to see if we could like replace one of us in the conversation and see how that flowed.
I'll take that baby version and we'll just sit them in here for me.
What are the differences between the 3 of those, Doug?
I think it's really my mic is turned down. It's really about how many messages you can get in minutes you can get every month.
Oh wow!
Oh, so you pay for additional minutes.
This seems to me like the ultimate narcissistic tool. You know what I mean? Like if I could just have another.
Okay, yes and no, but remember,
if we could write your emails for you and like,
what was that sci-fi show that you really liked? You got me to
Upload.
watch. Not Upload. There's the other one where the guy he's talking to his brother who died in war or something like that, and he's God, what show was it? It was one of you guys' sci-fi.
Sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
So he was like going through therapy. And it was like his brother who was communicating to him, and it was like an AI version of it. So I can think of examples, huh?
No,
it wasn't her. It was in a movie. It was a show. It was a series. And Westworld.
Westworld.
It was one of the last.
How does Westworld end?
Yeah, I don't remember the end of that, but I remember it was one of the seasons, and I remember, and we brought it up when it happened on the show, and I think you said the same thing too. Like, and I'm like, and I brought up the point of how cool it would be to talk to my dad. Like if my dad had the amount of content that I have put out there, and let's say if Max were to lose me right at his young age of 5-6 years old right now, and 20 years from now, when actually he cares because he probably doesn't care his teenage years to talk to dad, but he cares and he gets older. Like, man, I missed out on dad, and he would want to have this conversation. With the amount of data that we have of me communicating on here and written content, it would be really close to like communicating. And to me, that's better than nothing. Right, I have nothing right now. I have like a handful of pictures, a little bit of stories from family that's passed down, and like, but but if I had the ability to like call and talk to him and have a conversation, and it would be him like talking or like him, I don't know. I don't think a
majority of people use it that way. I can see what you're saying. You know who did that first, by the way? What movie showed something like that first? Let's see if Justin knows. Justin's a movie nerd like I am.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. It's a superhero movie.
Oh, that used the clone?
Yeah, kind of like that. Remember when Superman, he went and he built his Fortress of Solitude, and he would talk to his parents. They all got destroyed. You don't like Superman?
No.
Oh yeah, you're Batman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I did. Okay,
the superhero with no superpowers.
Superman just has all of them. Like, oh, cool. Yeah. Anyways,
I mean, you right away. What comes to mind for you is bad application on it, like the word.
All of this makes me think of that.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I don't think that way.
Where do you think? Let me ask you guys a question real quick. Where do you guys think a good chunk of the money goes into innovation on the internet, and what do you think they're going to take this technology?
Okay, well, I'm glad you went. Okay, I'm glad you went that direction. Yeah, internet #1 sites probably porn, all kinds of bad, negative stuff. But generally speaking, would you not say the internet wasn't an incredible thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just caution.
So it'll be like that. It'll be like that, just like that. There'll probably be a lot more people that use it for bad and evil, and it'll be abused and all the things that you're thinking. But
we've never really had a chance to acclimate, is how I feel. Like,
it's so fast.
It's so fast. It's so disruptive. It's so innovative. There's positives, there's negatives, but we've never been able to just sit and be like, oh, we've adapted.
I don't know, dude. I'm in a different headspace, right, or a weird headspace, because I just came back from Las Vegas this weekend. We went for my niece's.
Vegas?
Yeah, we went for my niece's graduation.
Well, that's Sin City, bro.
Yeah. So let me. Hey, can I
Sodom
tell you guys?
That's Sodom and Gomorrah right there.
Can I tell you guys something?
For real.
So no matter even before even secular Sal, when I would go to Vegas after a couple days, I'd want to leave because I would just
you got to take a shower.
yeah, I just would feel kind of like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
But through a different filter, right? Now I have a faith, and I went there, and I don't know why we decided this would be okay, but we walked the strip for an hour.
With your kids?
And I saw.
Did you get the handouts?
It was.
What were you thinking?
It was every sin or every terrible thing celebrated. And this, by the way, it's human nature. We're all fallen, broken, all that stuff. But it's so celebrated that as we're walking through, I just felt so sad. I mean, I saw a dude almost get in a fist fight in the street. So I saw rage, lust everywhere. At one point, there was a woman dressed as a nun with her boobs exposed. That was her shtick.
Wow.
I saw extreme poverty. I saw total addiction. It was just, as we're walking, I just felt so by it. And I'm just like, man, human nature. And what's crazy about it is you just called it. Vegas advertises it, and that's what brings people to it. They don't even play. They don't have trying to pretend. They're like, this is Sin City, you guys.
Yeah.
And that's how they get everybody to go over there.
Yeah.
So as I'm walking through, I'm just like, oh my gosh. So you talk about technology.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, what are people going to do with this? Is there going to be some good? Maybe, hopefully.
They're 100%.
But is there going to be like some craziness that I can't even conceptualize? Probably.
I mean, it'll make bad people worse, but good people, you'll be able to do good things with it. I think it'll be like, I think the internet was a perfect analogy. It will be like that technology. It will absolutely be disruptive. It absolutely will do some evil things. But I mean, that's everything. That's never not been the case. It's always been that.
Our nature,
and we
right?
only see it. It only seems so in our face because the internet, because we have the ability to see somebody doing evil across the country, where you would go your whole lifetime and never hear that story because it was across the country, just across the country. But now it's like on your Instagram feed the same day.
Well, it's a good.
So it just,
did you guys hear about the Tylenol murders?
Oh, I saw
Chicago?
I saw the series on Netflix.
I never even heard of that. Again, to this whole point, so I think this was back in the 80s maybe, but they have a seal that you put on medications, like that you put in convenience stores because of this incident, because this guy put cyanide in Tylenol because you could remove the capsule and you could stuff in. So he'd go to these convenience stores and they found this guy was putting cyanide and people were just taking Tylenol and dying.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like super insidious, like crazy, like that even could have happened. But then it's like, well, if that's a potential, this is going to happen.
It take them a while to catch.
Because they thought maybe it was from the manufacturing plants, and they realized that it was just isolated in this one city. And so what they found out, it wasn't the responsibility. It wasn't somebody working at the plant that was like doing this. Mm-hmm. It was actually somebody that was going to the convenience store and then taking actual product off the shelf, putting it in.
What comes over someone that makes them want to randomly murder people?
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the second episode yet, so I don't know if
evil,
they did psycho.
That's so terrible.
I mean, but again, you're highlighting my point, which I mean is just evil always will exist, and there will always people will find ways to do bad things. I mean, so. I mean, and I think that's when I see a technology like that my optimistic brain goes right to the things like, oh, this could be really, really cool. I think it'll be cool for a lot of reasons.
I'll give you guys some uplifting. Did you guys see what, I got to give him a shout out. He's so humble. Josh, what he did over the weekend? Did you guys see what he did?
What did he do?
He went to Mexico.
Oh, I did see this,
with his church, and he built some houses.
I didn't know he did that.
People. Yeah, dude.
This weekend?
He just did. He just got back.
He's on one leg and everything?
And he's got his knee.
He's got a bum leg, and he's out there building houses.
Dude. And he went out there to help build houses for people that needed houses.
Yeah,
to be
rad.
built. He sent me some pictures.
Who did he go with?
He went with his girlfriend.
Just the two of them?
In their church. No,
in the church.
In their church. Like a whole went over there. How great is that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That is so awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah, what a great kid. He's such a good, again, shout out to that guy.
I mean, what's great about it is that, because there's a lot of kids that go and do stuff like that. Many times, though, their parents have set them up on it. So for him to actively choose that as a young adult, to go do something like that.
What do you want to do this weekend with your busted knee? I'm going to go in some place and go sleep on a cot in a room with a bunch of people and then go build a house, even though my knee is busted. That's so cool.
No,
I thought that was
that was cool. Speaking of cool, my Katrina texted me this morning that I told you she set up all these little stations.
Yeah.
And then she also said, hey, you have to make your lunch today because, mommy's got to work and then you're home today. So she set out all the stuff for him to make himself a peanut butter jelly sandwich. And he started telling her how he needs to put the jelly on first so it wipes off. Basically, daddy says
you're training him wrong.
Yeah.
You tell him to sit down and pee too, Adam? Because that's the other debate we've had.
Oh, my God. I forgot how much that stirred up the internet when we did it the first time. And then, of course, Josh made the video with the babies and us arguing. Like, it is wild to me how many people are like
divided.
Oh, so divided.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, clearly division there that people think I'm crazy for doing that. And other people are like, how is there any other way?
Yeah. It's so strange. Yeah.
I had no idea when I said that. I mean, that was so real and authentic when it happened when we were just having conversation. Yeah. I thought, wait, so you guys do it that way?
It's like what? People setting up their toilet paper, like they get really like
if it goes
which direction?
Yeah, and it's split too. It's not like one has the right answer.
So I know people say have it over because that's the aesthetic way to do it. But I learned as a parent early on that don't do that when you have little kids because they hit the toilet paper
and just keep going
and flip it off. Yeah. So you have it under because when they hit it, then it doesn't come off the roll. Yeah. Over is what you're supposed to do, right? That's the aesthetic.
I don't think I even pay attention when I do it. That's how I do it.
You just throw it on?
Yeah, I literally just throw it on in whichever way. So maybe it's one way.
You got us all on the wet wipes kit.
Come on, man. Yeah. You have detail about all those
things. Know. I normally am about a lot of things, but that's actually one I've never been like that. It's never really, I think, bothered. Maybe because of the type of ones I've had. Because I think it's really frustrating if you have like one of the, like kind of like the contraption we have here, where it's like it's being fed in.
Terrible paper, first of all, it just like rips off. So
I hate that, especially when you use
you gotta get quality first.
Especially when you use a toilet at the
are we the one buying ours? Yeah. Are we buying ours?
No, I don't think so. It's being supplied.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, who is buying this cheap ass toilet paper?
I hate
like, aren't we doing better?
I hate it when it's one square at a time.
That's a measure of success. Quilted toilet paper. Get with the program.
Yeah. My wife agreed with Doug, by the way. She's like, I'll use 2 knives. So
I know a lot of people that do that. I know a lot of people that go they do both. That's wasteful though. It's totally wasteful.
Dishwasher will wash 2 knives and one knife.
Hey, when you're only gonna wash one dish, everyone's saying like that makes total sense. You know what I'm saying? Fucking use 4. Why not use one for every swipe?
Yeah. When's the last time you guys have had a peanut butter?
Maybe when I was in junior high.
Yeah. Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to eat them a lot when I was competing. It was a way for me to get calories up. Yeah. It was like a late night 1,000 calories for me when I was trying to keep calories up.
Do you see how lazy people are these days? Have you seen that you can actually buy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich already made with the crust cut off? You can go buy it.
Oh, they call them Crustables or something like that.
Like how lazy have you become? Are they going to put it in your mouth for you now? I saw it at the grocery store.
Well, they also make that.
This is for all these kids that helicopter moms that did everything for them.
Yeah.
they also make that peanut butter and jelly that's already made together. You've seen that before, right? It's like peanut butter, and then every quarter is jelly in there. So you just do.
It just feels like it's going to get messy.
That's just lazy.
Yeah.
Let's come on.
I got to tell you what my 2-year-old. She's she's a little spicy little girl, man. We were at the outdoor mall up in Palo Alto earlier yesterday, and I'm walking with her and I'm singing to her because she's my little girl, so I'm singing little cute songs to her, and she looks at me. She closes my mouth with her hands and she goes, "Shut your lips, Papa. Don't sing, please."
Spare us.
Remember when we years ago? Wasn't it Alessia who told you to shut up or whatever with that inside the car?
I don't like the way you're breathing.
Yes, I don't like the way you're breathing. That's what she said. Your daughters
are great, bro.
I love it.
They're so great. Yeah. I just my 4.5-year-old is at the age. He's starting to get to the age now where we could watch like kind of cool movies because I have to be careful, right? Otherwise, it's a little too scary, a little too much action. But he's really into the same stuff I was into when I was a kid. He likes Godzilla. He likes like robots.
Yeah, dude.
So I found. Have you guys seen the movie Pacific Rim? Mm-hmm. It's actually a pretty badass movie.
It is good.
That's pretty violent though. Yeah.
It is, but we only watch the fight scenes, and the fight scenes are cartoonish. Okay. It's not like real blood or whatever. It's like. So we were watching
a bunch of big ass robots.
Big robots fighting big monsters. Bro, he was jumping up and down on the couch, getting psyched. I love it.
Did you see the game that I sent over to Jessica for you guys?
No, what is
so
that?
we just found a game, really cool. I think it's called Spot It. And it's a really simple game. So it's great for like Aurelius and my son, right? Just young. So basically all he has to do is, and I don't know if Aurelius likes this, but Max loves like matching and find the thing, whatever, like those highlights books and stuff. And you flip 2 cards over, and there's I don't know, I'd say there's like 8 images on each, and every card has got one of the other images, but they're different sizes, different colors and shapes, and so you gotta match them and call them out as soon as you see it. Oh, and it's like a speed game, like how fast you can do it. So I don't. This is like, Katrina got it. She's like, I thought you could play with him, and maybe you can get a little of his competitive spirit up or like that. So we play like the first game, and he's good at it. He's actually really good at it. So I don't have to like totally lay down for him to be all right. It's like, okay, like he's quick on a couple of these. And so, I kept the game close, but he barely edged me out. And I was like, oh man, you won. Katrina's like, oh, making a big deal like that he won. And she's like, do you want to play again? He's like, nah, I'm good. He's just watching. And Katrina like really had to like egg him on to do it again. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to get you this time. And so I beat him the second time. And then trying to get him to play a third one. He's like, no, I'm good. Daddy will probably win. I'm like, oh my God, dude, my son just has no competitive bone in him whatsoever, dude. He was just like, yeah, Daddy will probably win.
I was just going to ask you, how often do you let him win versus you win? Because I know that's like a thing with kids.
Yeah, it's a mix. Older. It's a mix, right? So I want him to lose. I beat him, right? The second game, I beat him. Or I'll keep it close.
What about other stuff? Like, do you have to be like, oh, I got to win sometimes, not win sometimes?
Yeah, I don't let him win always. Definitely not. I definitely want him to see me beat him. And that's But what I notice about him is just like he's got no interest. If he gets beat, he's over it.
He's cool.
He's cool. I'm like, no, there's no like, oh, I want to get you back, Dad, or anything like that. Like, I beat him in a race. I beat him in anything that we do. He's just like, nah, I'm good.
We just got to the age with my 4.5-year-old where now he can handle losing, because when they're real young, they just scream and cry. It's like sucks. Like you got to let them win, and then little by little. So now it's like I will let him win 3 out of 4 games, but there's that one game, and I can tell it really bothers him. But I'll make sure I win every once in a while. As he gets older, once they're teenagers, you just kick the crap out of them all the time. Right? I'm sure that's what happens with you.
Never let them win.
Yes,
it's just day one.
Just as we're on 15 years straight. I'm undefeated.
Yeah,
his kids are gonna say that in therapy when they're older.
They beat me.
My dad never let me win.
Oh god,
so
they earned it. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
No, I try and get him to like want so when I lose, I make a big deal out of it. Like, oh man, you got me. I'm gonna get you next time. Like trying to see if he'll get that test.
But he's not.
None of that shit. It does not work on him. It's like he's the total opposite. Like he loses and he's like, oh, good job, Daddy.
You know what's funny about that?
Yeah, that's dude, great. He like celebrates me for winning,
dude. Everett actually, he's really good about that with other kids and stuff. He'll let like these other kids win. And he'll keep inviting them in and to play, like especially if he's doing like horse or whatever. And I'm like, dude. And he just
is like crushed.
I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't teach you that. But it was great. I love seeing it. He's better about that than I am.
It's a social skill. They have there's that one famous experiments where they show mice where they wrestle, and it's pro-social. It helps them develop. And if the stronger mouse keeps winning, nobody will play with it anymore. So they actually have a number. I don't remember what it was, but there's a certain percentage of time that the stronger mouse will have to allow the other mouse to win in order to keep playing. Yeah. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to play with them anymore. So it's so counter to justice.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny. I'm just trying to think back, like why? Because I was in such an environment where everybody like there was
you're the younger brother
cutthroat. Like there was no like people letting me win ever.
Yeah, you're the younger brother. That's all. You were always probably battling your older brother and his friends.
Yeah, and then my dad is 6'7". He just smothered me, you know. And then it was just like, oh, I'm always just gonna get smothered and lose. Like fuck this, you know. So it just created
all this
monster.
anger.
No,
all this rage.
No, Aurelius will actually like. We were playing the game of life, the game of life, whatever, and we're playing that. And if I'll look over here for a second, and I can tell he's calculating, like, oh, my dad's winning. He'll take money from the bank and put it in his pile. I'm like, what'd you do?
Steal it?
Oh, nothing.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, it doesn't count if you cheat. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to like,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, I would take a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? I'd take a little bit of that or something. But over what I got right now. Max is just like not interested in it whatsoever. Right. So
anyway, speaking of competition stuff, I tell you what. Well, actually, let me take a step back. Walking into our studio, I got to tell you guys. The environment we have in here now is so incredible. It feels
so
like
different.
it feels like when I used to run gyms, because now we have trainers in here training clients.
Yeah.
We got people coaching people, and the vibe is just so like
good electricity.
I haven't been this excited about what we do in a long time. I love what we do, but man, now it's just so incredible.
I mean, it's perfect timing. We've been doing this for quite some time now, a decade. And, there was a period of time where, it's just like really the four of us, coming in here. Like it was quiet.
I like you guys, not that much.
Yeah. So it's a total different vibe. It reminds me of the gym. It sounds like that. When you walk in, it sounds just like what it used to sound like when we walk into the gym. So I love hearing all the voices.
So I'm excited for these group coaching that we're doing because we've done a couple of them and they're so awesome.
Yeah.
And now we're getting to the popular ones. So it's fat loss and muscle building.
Do we have space still? Do you know, Doug, where we're at?
Yeah, we do. At this moment, we do.
So this is group coaching. You're getting coached. It's a group of 50 fat loss and a group of 50 for muscle building. And you're getting coached by Mind Pump trainers. These are people that we train, develop, that work for us. They're going to coach you. And it's exciting. This
built-in accountability.
This direction is really exciting for me. And we're going to keep moving this direction of just, investing more in training and coaching and helping people through that. It's mindpumpgroupcoaching.com, Doug?
Yes.
Is that where it is to sign up?
Yep.
Yeah. One of the best protein powders I've ever tried is from Paleo Valley. This is bone broth protein chocolate. Tastes like chocolate donuts. It's also extremely easy to digest. Go check them out. They have other flavors. Go to paleovalley.com/mindpump. On that link, you'll get an automatic 15% off. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Kevin from Nevada.
Hey, what's up, man? Welcome back.
What's up, Kevin?
How you doing, Kev?
Hey guys, thank you for picking up this. Guys, like this one means a lot because of I'll explain why. Because I am going to be competing on the national competition in July. I have about 2 months. I have already told a lot of people. I think this is just as a dad, I'm just worried about. I don't want any injuries, and the worst thing I would want is that I'm competing at a national level, cool, but then I show my kids that I'm all injured and hurt and all that crap. That would not be the best example for all of this. So I've already told people that are telling me like, yo, after the nationals, what are you going to do? And then I already told them I want to take like a 6, 7, 8 month break. Don't even focus on powerlifting. I just want to build my body and make sure that I do this right. Because these people that I'm competing with, they have like 10 years on their body of built muscle. I'm coming here with just like 4 years of just barely learning how to even train at the gym. So I don't want to, Adam, I think you always talk about this. So in the question I just mentioned, my thought process is, even though I'm getting more skilled at driving the car, like lifting at all these 3 lifts, that's cool, but I am scared that potentially I am missing out on upgrading my parts, like every single part of the car, so that I can equal the skill of these lifts. And all the parts of my body can actually handle the level that I want to achieve. I did put in the question that I do want to take the state record, just because people have told me I have the potential for it. But again, the last thing I want to do is chase it, knowing that I'm just skipping and might injure myself. So every single time I say this to somebody, especially if they've been powerlifting, they all look at me like I am crazy. They're like, "What? You're gonna take a break from powerlifting specific programming? Like, what the hell? You're gonna miss out on growing your numbers." And for me, it's so hard to explain to them. Like, I don't care about that crap. Like, eventually I'll probably get it. But am I doing a better, like, is my thought process, even though it's longer, is that better than just continuously powerlifting?
Yes.
Based on what you're saying, yeah.
Yes, you have the better thought process. Just because these guys have been powerlifting for 10 years and have found what works for them it's not necessarily ideal.
The two sides of the coin here are, if you want to be as competitive as possible in powerlifting, that was your goal, and you're just like, I just want to be the best, strongest powerlifter ever, then train like a powerlifter. That's true. However, what that comes with is a lot of risks associated with that type of focus on that type of training. What I hear from you is, that's cool, and I want that, but I more than that, I don't want to get hurt, and more than that, I want longevity in my body. And with what you're saying, you have the right approach. So if your goal was to get the best numbers possible by nationals or by next year, then you got to train like a power lifter most of the time. And then you train in other ways to kind of support that. If you want longevity overall in your body and in overall in powerlifting, right? You want to keep doing this and not suffer major injuries, and your approach is right. So yes, it will take you longer, but the risk of injury goes way down with your approach, which I think is the smart approach. But I also get the high competitive, like, there's a lot of guys out there that don't care. They're like, I'll just take the risk and get hurt.
By all means necessary.
Yeah, and I get that too. I understand what that's like, but I think you have a very mature approach.
I also think in the long run he wins. Like if we were looking at a 6-month window and what's the fastest way to increase your numbers? Well, yeah, of course, sticking to the programming for just powerlifting for the next 6 months would give you the advantage per pound. But if you extended that goal out over 5 years, what's your goal 5 years from now? It may feel like yours would take longer, but you're more likely not only to do it safely, not get hurt, but I think you would actually surpass the numbers of the guy who decides I'm just going to keep running powerlift over and over.
Look, that's debatable, right? What you got to look at are the top powerlifters in the world, how they've always trained, and what they do is they train a specific type of programming most of the time. That's just the way they train. So now we know how to train bodies and how to keep people from getting hurt and improve longevity with it all. But yeah, I mean, to say that you're going to get better numbers in 5 years by doing what we're saying, that's if, maybe there was a big injury that you avoid. Who knows? But when I say longevity, I mean like you plan on lifting weights and having a body that moves well for the rest of your life. So I don't know if it's going to give you better numbers. But it definitely is better for you. So if you're like, some people are like, look, the most important thing in the world is this trophy. Okay. But it sounds to me like you're like, the most important thing in my life is my family, and I like strength training and it feels good. For that, I think you have the right approach. But if you go into the debate with powerlifting coaches and that's all they do, they're gonna tell you, look, you want the best numbers, you got to train this particular way. I just don't think it's
I would openly have that debate. It's the same thing that somebody would have told me in the competitive world of men's physique, because this is the way, because we've done it this way forever is a better way. And bullshit. I disagree. Just because people have been doing it away for so long,
forever,
and it's worked for them, doesn't mean there is a better approach. I would make the argument that bolstering, like the analogy you gave, bolstering your car with better suspension and handling over time, I think you win.
Well,
not to mention all the straps and all the fitness aids and all the chemical enhancements they need to add in because of their recovery is such shit.
Yeah, I mean, we could debate this. I think with Kevin though, I think it's pretty clear what you want, and I think the direction that you're going is perfect with what you want. Yeah,
definitely. Like with what you said with the trophy, my trophy is that I get to show my kids like a whole life that I never knew about until late. And then awesome. The little flex is that along the way, I've been able to learn from you guys and do it right. And you can be strong. You could be not the hybrid athlete, but you could be everything into one. You just don't have to be so dang excessive with it.
That's right. That's right. No, perfect.
Yeah, it's a rad mentality.
And then the other question, like the mini question to that, is just the programming I was thinking of just doing is just after the competition performance, just so I can get back into the different planes of movement. Then anabolic, and then split before I would even
good.
I would switch split with symmetry. That's what I would do.
Okay.
I think there's going to be tremendous value to doing, especially if the goal is to bolster your body, unilateral work, and there's just more of that in symmetry than any of those other programs. And so I like anabolic and performance in there, but then I would add symmetry instead of split. It'll serve you more.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. And by the way, I just gotta tell you guys. So my wife and I were attending like the mind, where we already are enrolled in the Mind Pump course.
Nice.
And it's kind of crazy. I don't know if it's probably all you three. So we plan on, part of why I even want to take a 6-7 month break is because we really want to go into this like full force, and we just have so much fulfillment because we're such latecomers to fitness that we do feel like how much it's changed us, and like we're like, oh my gosh, if only we knew this when we were younger. But we've already seen, of course, what happens with our kids. I want to tell you the really quick effect, if I can. This is crazy. So you guys always mention, like, do it for free, you know, like close family, friends first. So our plan was to do that. We only wanted like 5, 6 people because we have our careers right now. We have our kids. We don't really want to, like, you know, try and make this a full-time thing. It turned into 17 because of the people that were helping. Our whole focus with most of them is they're all like us. You guys always talk about, like, just treat all of this like skill mastery. And if you can master the skill within each of the exercises, you will do better. All of that has made it much more enjoyable for everybody. All of the type of programming that we're telling them, like, yo, less is more. Don't kill yourself for 5, 6, 7 days. We're all parents. They're all surprised with how much they're gaining with like 1-2 days a week.
Yep.
So it's like, we do have people, like, we keep trying to push people off, like, we don't want to charge yet. We're trying to keep it cool. But in the meantime, you know, maybe you could wait till maybe after the competition. But right now it turned into 17. We're excited because this is like the first time we've been hustlers in like the nicest way I could ever even say that. But we've never had fulfillment attached to it. And I think this is just like a beautiful thing that now our whole family can be a part of. And I'll try and say this slowly because my mom's outside this room. My mom never listens to me for anything. Like, even if it's like Adam, like, you guys I would have to say, oh, these guys, they're professionals and they train professional. I have to say, like, celebrities or something. They would listen to you because of that. They would never listen to me. But this is the first time ever my mom is actually on training, wants me to train her. She's been training 4 days a week through that starter program.
Nice.
So I think this is just like all meant to be. And thank you guys, because I'm freaking excited about like what the heck is going to happen.
Awesome,
That's
Kevin.
killer, man.
Great to hear, dude.
Very, very cool, bro.
Good job, man.
Very cool.
Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, thank you for answering my question. That helped a lot, guys.
You got it,
brother.
dude.
Right on.
Good luck on
Keep
your
it up.
competition,
Yeah.
brother.
Thank you. I have a good one.
You got it. You know, I got to add with your analogy of the physique world versus the strength world. It's so different because physique world is subjective. Powerlifting, Olympic lifting is as scientific as training gets for that sport. It's just it's all objective, and powerlifting has been around for decades. And there are schools that produce so many more champions than other schools because of their scientific approach. Same thing with Olympic lifting. So I would never debate a seasoned powerlifting coach who comes from a good school on, you know, this is going to give you the best squat, deadlift, and whatever. But when it comes to longevity and what Kevin's looking for, he's right, 100%. But I don't think that's the best way to be the most competitive powerlifter ever. I just don't, because they've proven that through decades of objective numbers and producing some of the best athletes. Injury risk is high.
I don't think in a small window.
That's exactly what I'm saying. In a small window, you're right. So I said 5 years.
Yeah.
I said 5 years for a reason, because he's not talking about the next 3 to 6 months. You're right. And if you hired a powerlifting coach,
I wouldn't argue that either.
And he's like, in 6 to 9 months, I'm like, yeah, of course that is better. But you extend that to 5 years, I call bullshit.
I want to see what they would recommend. I don't know what powerlifting programming looks like for 5 years. I do know that they've really gotten pretty smart with some of it. Like Ed Cohn is so scientific, and I know that he included hypertrophy training. I don't know how much.
West Side Barbell, all that.
Yeah, I don't know how much, you know, but these I mean, West Side is very scientific with their approaches.
Very scientific.
But when I look at powerlifting like programming, it's done in like blocks. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it would look like over a 5 year period.
Yeah, I mean, the thought is that when you hire a powerlifting coach, you're hiring him to get you proficient in the 3 lifts, and that is the best approach to do that. None of those guys say, oh, I'm also going to make you this healthy dad who's also mobile.
No, it's powerlifting.
It's powerlifting.
Yeah.
And so I would never debate the strength thing, but if you're talking about somebody who's going to extend that for 5-10 years.
Yeah, what he said, what he wants and what's important to him, he's right. 100%.
I mean, look at our examples of some of our friends that were like world class, like Ben Pollux and stuff like that. They learned that the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to debate. Yeah, Lane Norton. You're not going to debate that those guys didn't understand the science of powerlifting and they weren't following an incredible protocol when it comes to that in order to hit these records. But what ends up happening to those guys? 5 years down the road,
Mark Bell. I mean, yeah,
they all get hurt.
They all get hurt.
They all get hurt because they're all approaching it a way that's been approached for 50
their
years.
max potential.
That's right.
And they got the highest numbers possible.
That's the goal.
So that's exactly.
That's the goal. Like you're going to drive. You're going to drive.
That's like what we're. I don't know. Like if we're going to debate that, like how much longer could they have kept producing? I don't know.
Longer is different than max performance.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I extended to 5 years. You extend to 5 years, and now you got to debate. Like if you try to debate me over a year, like okay, I'm not even gonna fight you or argue with you on that. But you're gonna extend it to 5-10 years. I will debate that all day long. It would be
interesting to look and see what they did over those long periods of time. I've never seen powerlifting program longer than like.
I'd have to look at that, especially the longest powerlifter their career. Like who had the longest career?
Yeah, and also how long did that same coach work with that same athlete? Because I would imagine, at least in my experience of watching our peers do this, they typically go just like with bodybuilding. I've got a show in 9 months, or I got an event I want to do in 9 months. I hire a coach. They take me through it. Very rarely do you hear guys like, I've been with my same coach for 5-6 years lifting. It's normally for a specific a meet that they're going to do, and they approach it that way. Yeah. So he's got the right. Are those his numbers that you had up there?
This is incredible, right? Cool. For his weight,
and how early he is into this.
I know, it's pretty cool,
dude. Incredible.
Our next caller is Jen from New Jersey.
Hi, Jen.
How you doing, Jen?
Hi. How are you?
Good. How can we help you?
Thanks for taking my question, by the way, and sorry in advance. You're going to be seeing a lot of dogs during this call.
That's all right. I love dogs.
There are two of them here. The reason why I wanted to reach out to you guys, recently in my neighborhood, which is Hoboken, New Jersey, there's a lot of fitness here. We've been seeing these studios pop up that are called EMS studios, and they're like you go there and they kind of strap these bands on your body, and they kind of like, I guess, I don't know, zap you with electricity and theoretically stimulate your muscles. So my trainer, who's like who's always up for trying like whatever the new thing is, just to see how it goes, went a couple times, and she thought it was like kind of fun. It hurts a little bit. It's about 25 minutes. They put bands on your arms, your chest, your legs, everything, and they kind of like can adjust each muscle group, and then they give you electric shock. And so they gave her a few free sessions. She tried it. I tried a few sessions. I kind of can't really tell. I mean, you're very sore afterwards. You sweat. It's definitely hard. But I guess a bunch of us who sort of tried it are just wondering, like, is this legit, or is this like, what is it? It's not. It doesn't replace training, obviously, but we were kind of using it to top off what we're already doing, and a bunch of us just were curious whether or not it was a real thing or if it was kind of like smoke and mirrors. So you definitely sore afterwards.
How are they using it, Jen? How are they using it? Are they putting them on you and then making you exercise while you get the stim, or you just sit there
compound
and get
lifts, or just
no? So there's like a machine that's sort of a device that has kind of like a place that you can hold on to, and they give you squeezy balls. They put you in a vest and the straps. They make them wet. And then you go through like kind of very slowly, like squats, lunges, like sort of like you very, very slowly do the kind of like exercises while they kind of like ratchet up the stimulation. Yeah.
So the studies on this are pretty interesting. They do increase muscle fiber activation, and they seem to cause better gains than without using them. It's not a huge effect, but it's enough to be significant in a study. That being said, the way they market them is bullshit. So I see in your email here that it says that it gives you 4 hours of muscle stimulation exercises in 20 minutes.
That's what they say. So we were like,
bullshit.
Is this really true? Or is this sort of hype, or is there anything happening at all?
No. Yeah, something's happening, and it's going to give you a little more than you would normally get.
An external signal for sure.
But it's not like this huge crazy effect. And if you do the cost average, it's probably not worth it. But yeah, no, it's not giving you 4 hours of exercise, effects in 20 minutes. That's baloney.
It's cool. The science is cool. It's a niche
novelty
idea.
is fun.
Yeah, it's novel. So overrated. Yeah. That's what I would say. But if I had one laying around and it was in the gym, like you could find me messing with it with my buddies and like, oh, let's do a workout. But to get, I could only imagine like strapping up into that
I can only see a very small window of effectiveness with this.
The way you do it makes a big difference too. So the way that I would use it was I would put it on me and then I would do a barbell exercise with it. I wouldn't.
Well, I'll tell you where I think the most effective way to use something like this would be rehabbing somebody from an injury. because you can take them through
That's historically how it's always been
you could take them through a body weight exercise and make their body feel like they trained really heavy, and that during a recovery of an injury, that could be tremendously valuable. So let's say I had a very high-end athlete or somebody who's in the bodybuilding world who's in incredible shape, and they tore their Achilles, and they've been rehabbing it and we're okay. The doctor would probably want us to stay off of it still for another month or two, but we're going to go ahead and do some of these exercises with no weight, just our body weight. And I'm going to and that I could see a huge benefit to that athlete.
Jen, you exercise regularly anyway, right?
I do. And so it seems to be there are two kind of camps of people. Like when we go in there, we see like a bunch of sort of like elderly people who are doing this as their workout. Like if they're marketing it as like, this is their exercise. So you'll see like 70-year-old people that are kind of just sort of, I guess that this is what they're doing in place of exercise. And then there are other people like, me and a couple of friends who work out regularly, we're always up to try something new that looks fun or cool or different. So it was kind of treating it as a top off, like of just our regular, it's not replacing anything.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, here's where I would, if you were my client, Jen, because you already work out, you're already consistent. I like the 70-year-olds doing it, by the way. I think that's cool. And I think if for fun, it's cool. Here's how I would use it if you were my client. If you had a body part that you had difficulty connecting to, if you're like, hey, man, it's really hard for me to feel my glutes when I squat, then I would use this on your glutes while you squat, just to give you the feeling of what it feels like to really contract the glutes appropriately. But doing a full body workout on this on top of your current workout,
too much.
Yeah.
That could be good. It could be bad. I mean, if you tend to train yourself like to the limit anyway, if you're one of those fanatics that's like, I could probably get better results if I trained a little less, then I wouldn't just add another workout. And I see the face you made, so I get that impression, right?
Well, it's interesting because I did it with my boyfriend the first time, and he's like a big, strong man, and he's a runner. And he did it, and he absolutely hated it. He almost died. They had to give him a lollipop afterwards. He was sitting on the floor. He was like, it's way too much, and I did it, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of sore, but I was, of course, interested because, they said, 4 hours worth of hypertrophy, training in 25 minutes. It sounds pretty good, but it also sounds like a little too good.
Yeah.
So he refuses to go back, but I've been going for like 6 weeks, once a week. And the only downside I would say is I'm like pretty sore afterwards. So I usually do it on a day when the next 2 days I have like just yoga or something. It's like Friday and I'm just going to do yoga on the weekend. I don't do it before a big workout or whatever. But I can't tell if it's my regular workouts that are giving, I'm happy with my results, but I can't tell if it's this or if it's just, from being consistent or whatever. But it definitely, it's hard. Like you feel it afterwards, you sweat, you're tired, you're dehydrated afterwards. Like it's doing something for sure.
Well, you'd get tired and you'd be dehydrated and sweaty if I just had you jump in place real fast too. That doesn't mean it's doing anything necessarily. Are you getting stronger in your normal workouts? That's a no. If you just
obvious.
If you just added this for 6 weeks and you're like, my lifts went up 15 pounds. I'm like, okay, this is working. Yeah. But if if it's not doing anything except making you sore, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. All right. Great.
Yeah.
It's a good metric.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in.
All right, Jen.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is why.
What bullshit marketing? 4 hours of workouts.
And you know what? So the person who gets like addicted to this thing or thinks is that's just it. We still connect soreness and how hard a workout is with how effective it is.
That's right.
Yes.
I got
soreness
beat up
and sweating.
And that's coming from somebody who's been lifting for a very long time and is very experienced. We still tend to do that. People still think because it hurts, because it's hard, because I sweat, because I'm sore as hell, it must be a really good workout. And it's like, no, that's not true at all.
It's so funny because I remember when boot camps first became popular, people would be like, oh my God, it's so hard. They're yelling at you. They're hammering you. It's like,
I threw up.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Did you get stronger? Not really.
By the way, the reason why people get so sore on this is the eccentric on this is amplified. Like you're lowering and it's contracting. It's like a lot of muscle damage.
It just sounds like you could overdo it so easy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't.
And of course, at the end, I'm like,
I mean, I love it. Like I said, for rehab. If I had a client,
it's always been used for rehab. They've done that forever.
Body weight, that makes
it makes total sense. Where you could, I mean, I'm sure. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what got this popular again. Is I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of your professional athletes use it.
Oh yeah,
you got
astronauts too, right?
Yeah, you have Steph Curry right now, who in the middle of playoffs goes down with a hamstring strain. And they want him back in the game by next week. It's like that would normally take the rest of us 6 to 8 weeks to be back.
I'm sure Katy Perry did it before her.
She totally went into space.
Our next caller is John from Virginia.
John, what's happening?
What's up, John?
How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Pretty surreal talking to you guys. Appreciate you taking the time to answer my question. Been a long time listener, and pretty much the only podcast I listen to. Came for the fitness, stayed for the fatherhood and everything else. So really like what you guys have out there.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Sean.
So my question is going to be kind of in regards to recovery and recovery equipment and how best to utilize it. So a little bit about my background. So I'm 34. I've been lifting about 12 years. I typically do a upper lower split twice a week with a recovery day in between, or trigger session, active rest, something like that. And right now, pre-workout, I'll do kind of mobility, some priming. Post-workout, I'll do some static stretching, some sauna and all that. And then on my days off, just try and focus on a little extra recovery. But now as I'm aging, 34, have a family, prone to injury, I'm trying to focus a little more on recovery. And the new gym I started going to has a ton of recovery resources that I hear you guys talk about a lot. So they have the Normatec compression boots, the hydro massage chair, cryotherapy chair, red light therapy, and they have a sauna, hot tub. So I'm just trying to understand how I should best utilize all those to enhance my goals, keep progressing in the gym and everything. I don't want to use them as a crutch though, because I feel like for the most part, I have my recovery in check. I'm hitting my protein goal daily. I'm getting about 10,000 steps a day. I was at 9 hours of sleep a night, but we just had a newborn 2 weeks ago, so now it's down to maybe 7. But for the most part, I think my recovery is there. I'm keeping hydrated, do element pretty regularly, and the recovery is important to me because, like you, Sal, kind of newborn Christian there, and I spend that recovery time doing a lot of spiritual daily devotional and stuff. So any kind of input on how I could use that time, because maximize my pre or post workout time or active rest days using those resources.
Yeah.
Well,
so any advice you
your
could
last bit that you just said there would change the way I answer it just because of that. In fact, I would say, because what you're doing already, in my opinion, is great.
Yep.
And so if you said that you're using this as a spiritual practice time also for yourself, I would say, which one is most conducive for that? Do you feel like when you're in the sauna, it's more relaxing and you feel better connected and you feel like you're more consistent with doing that? I think there's a tremendous value to that. If you feel like it's laying there in the Normatec boots, are the times when you do that? Because you said that at the end, that's a priority, and what you're kind of, I think that you're already checking the big boxes of like recovery, actively walking, getting enough rest, adequate protein, like balanced workout.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job.
I got, I can get real specific. I love what you said, Adam, and I could get real specific with this. You by the way, congratulations on your new baby.
Thanks, second one. So
good for you, man. So a couple things. Your sleep went down. I think you would right now best if you move from upper lower 4-day-a-week workout to a 3-day full body routine. I think taking that 1 day off will make a big difference, especially because I know what it's like when you have a new kid, and it's going to be like that for about a year. So I think 3 days a week, you won't lose any gains. If anything, you might even see some improvements.
Yeah.
And then as far as your recovery, I could tell you what the data shows, and I actually think it's going to be in line with what Adam says as well. Of all the things you mentioned, the one that's probably going to make the biggest recovery impact, aside from getting more sleep, that's always number one, is going to be the sauna. Now, I like the sauna for spiritual work too, because you can't take your phone in the sauna. Now, you can sit in your Normatec boots. I don't know how you are with your phone. I know for me, it's like it calls my name out whenever it's near me. And so if I had Normatec boots on, or if I'm standing in front of a red light, like I could get on my phone. But in the sauna, it'll kill your phone. Your phone will shut off after so many minutes because it's so hot. So I like the sauna. Go in the sauna, sit in there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes if you can handle it, And that's where you could do your prayer. That's where you could do your you can meditate on scripture. And it's also, the data shows it's probably the most effective for recovery as well.
And longevity and overall.
Everything.
So it's, I agree. I'm on board with that. And I love the idea. I didn't even think about switching you from a split to a full body, the extra day of rest, and just the mix up of being a guy who does splits normally switching to a full body. You might see nice gains from that.
And so the way it would look with your full body workout is you would kind of hit, so how much volume are you doing for, let's say chest? How many sets do you do twice a week?
So I'll do 5 and another 3, 8, maybe 12
total, or twice a week.
12 total.
Oh, 12 sets total. Perfect.
Yeah, it's nice.
So here's what you do: 3 sets per body part, 3 days a week. So you're going to drop the sets down to 9. You're doing full body Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'll probably see gains anyway. But I think that'll be more appropriate with the reduction in sleep.
What I love about that recommendation too is you're taking him from 4 days of lifting in the gym with the 1 day recovery in between. You just add another day of recovery training. So now you go 3. You're still going to the gym same amount of time. So you're 5 days.
That's right.
But now 2 of those days are focused on the kind of recovery type stuff.
Yep.
And 3 of it's on the full body. Yep. I think that would do you well right now.
Yep.
Okay. And I had done anabolic before for the 3-day kind of full body. If I switched to anabolic advanced, would that be too much, or is that something I could look at for the 3-day option?
I think no, it's not. It's more, but I would do anabolic advanced when your sleep gets back to normal. And then you want to kind of push it. Anabolic advanced is definitely high intensity, but anabolic style 3-day a week workout would be great. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that answers it. I kind of was doing mainly the sauna, and then just the new gym, which just kind of felt a little overwhelming with all that. And then I just know there's like a lot back and forth about kind of like cold plunge and temperature stuff. So I wasn't sure if like going on the cryotherapy chair and doing something cold was like right after my workout, it's going to like slow down recovery and stuff. But yeah, appreciate what you guys said. That sounds like a good strategy and plan.
Yeah, no, sauna is the best of all of it. If I had to pick, cold is great. But cold is more of a stress than sauna.
Yeah, and I would use, so there's ways to use the other ones for specific things. For example, like if you overreached, then I think the cryo and cold would do good for speeding up the recovery time, right? So if you had a day where, let's say, I think the recommendation of the sauna twice a week is awesome, and that's going to also double as the thing for meditation. Also is going to double as the thing that's best for you longevity wise in comparison to all those. But then let's say you overdid it on one of your workouts and you're feeling it. You're really sore that day. That might be a day you do the cold plunge or do the cryo to help speed up that specific recovery because you overreached. But generally speaking, I agree. I think the sauna is the play.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Glad to hear that. And can I ask one other quick thing in regards to kind of like hydration and
go for it.
Element? Okay. So I've been doing Element. I was kind of unsure about it because I do have high blood pressure and take medication for that. So I wasn't sure if the extra sodium is bad or if that's something I should be asking my general practitioner about, or if you know anything about what the data says about that.
Yeah. So, okay, that's great. I'm glad you told me that. Sauna is going to be the best thing you do for blood pressure. That's the best thing you can do. I would ask them what they thought. First, ask them their advice. Electrolyte usage, especially high sodium, if you sweat a lot and like going into the sauna, it's probably a good idea to have it in there with you. Okay. But you would definitely need to check with your doctor to see if this is something that they would want you to be careful with.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. You got it, man.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
You got it, brother. Congratulations again.
Yep.
Thanks. See ya.
Sounds like a cool gym he goes to.
Yeah, it does.
He's got all kinds of stuff.
He's got all kinds of toys.
Yeah, I mean, if you anybody listening, if you have the choice between all of those things, of course, there's always, in situations where one is better than the other. But generally speaking, overall, with the mountains of data and stuff, that is like sauna.
Yeah, for continual use too.
Just,
I mean, like you kind of mentioned, if you have like days you really overreached, or that I think like cold is a great option for that.
Yeah, for a very specific thing. Yeah. Those are very cool to use that. But I think I shared with you guys. I was listening to an interview that Peter Attia did, and one of the questions that was asked was like, is there anything you've changed your mind or opinion on? And he's like, yeah, I used to think that sauna use was overrated or whatever. He goes, but what the research says,
all
it's
cause mortality,
and especially when he said
the best
blood pressure, it's like vascular health. Oh my God, man! It's like sauna will positively affect your vascular system like exercise.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
It's awesome.
Our next caller is Chris from New Hampshire.
What's up, Chris?
What's happening?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. How can we help you?
Good. So first off, thank you for, just taking my call, and, just the opportunity to be on the show is a little bit surreal for me. I've been listening to the show for 5 or 6 years now, and it's awesome to see you guys in person.
Thank you,
man.
Killer.
So do you want me to ask my question, then provide some context?
Sure.
Yep. Let's hear it.
All right. So the essence of my question is, how does one know when they're ready to ramp up their training volume? I'm 32 years old. You could say I'm a career overtrainer. 8-ish years ago, I was really into the OCR scene, training with some insane volume, like running 50 miles in a week, in addition to, lifting and HIIT workouts.
Oh, wow.
It was a little crazy. I'm proud of my accomplishments, but eventually my body did revolt. And I was forced to drastically reduce my training and focus on mobility and mastering movement patterns. When I started to feel and move better, I started doing traditional weightlifting because I'd stumbled upon your podcast, and I bought a few MAPS programs since. I continued lifting without any significant issues, and saw a lot of great gains from focusing on lifting. About 7 months ago, I came to the realization that I was overtraining again, because I had some of the negative side effects that you guys frequently talk about in association with overtraining. My libido was down. I was waking up in the middle of the night, wide awake. I'd wake up with night sweats, those kind of things. So I did a cycle of MAPS 15 to reduce volume and just the overall stress. And I noticed almost immediate positive results. I was sleeping through the night, libido was a lot better, and I wasn't ending the day feeling completely wiped out. So this is where the context is a little slightly different from my original email. I wrapped up MAPS 15 around the end of March, took an additional deload week before starting MAPS Strong. You guys have been talking about the benefits of non-traditional lifts around that time, and I figured it would be a good program to phase in instead of going into powerlift. I do eventually want to hit a 500-pound deadlift, but I'm not. That's taking a side to the side burner for now. I got through the first phase of Strong, but I ended up getting sick for a couple of weeks, which kind of stopped the process. And then I had 2 weeks in between feeling better and going on a trip to Aruba with my wife, during which I did a few MAPS 15 workouts to just kind of stay in things. I restarted phase 1 of Strong this week, but ended up cutting out the third set of most of the exercises in the first foundational workout, because I didn't want to overload myself from going almost nothing to the normal program sets and reps. I figured I would do that for this first week, see how it goes, and then ramp up the full sets in week 2 or 3 if I was feeling well. So I really just wanted to hear your advice and kind of sanity check the process. I'm not trying to do too much too fast.
Smart.
But I'm curious how you guys would assess whether or not someone is ready to ramp up the volume, going from 15 to Strong or from 15 to really any other program.
That's a good question.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Were you getting stronger in MAPS 15?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And so you got stronger throughout the program up until the end?
Yes.
Yeah, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yeah. I think a lot of times we get excited and then we want to add more and more and more. By the way, if you're getting stronger, just so you know, you are progressing your volume. So if you do a lift and then, by the end of the program, it's 20 pounds heavier, you've added volume.
You're progressively overloading.
You've already progressively added volume. So, and because of your history, you can stay in that probably for a full another cycle and then jump to something like Strong.
You can also slowly
performance version too.
Yeah, do I like that. I agree with everything you're saying. And you could also ease your way up volume-wise through that program. For example, let's say you're on the second round of it and it's been going great. And you're like, man, I feel good. Maybe try adding one exercise. That's it.
Yeah.
Or 2 sets.
There you go.
That's it. And then really and stick to that for a while and evaluate, oh man, I'm feeling good. I'm seeing gains still. Okay, maybe add 2 more and just keep slowly ramping up on 15 is such a good low level of volume to start, especially for someone that's a chronic overtrainer. And then you just inch your way up. But just be honest with yourself, because sometimes guys like us that tend to go that way, we convince ourselves, oh, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I'll do more. Oh yeah, it's working. And then you realize like, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe that's just.
Well, do you just have an itch to do more volume? Like, do you want to do more? Is that what it's all about?
To a certain extent, yes. It feels like a natural progression for me to say, I finished MAPS 15, I'm feeling good. Mm-hmm. Let's experiment with, another program, see how that kind of goes. And if it goes poorly, then kind of going back to 15 and going through another cycle of that, like you guys are suggesting.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing. You just got to be able to know what your body's telling you. But, look, here's how you view adding. This is how adding volume should be done. And here's how, and then there's also how people typically do it, which is wrong. So I'll start with the latter. Here's how people traditionally tend to add volume. They'll go, okay, I'm doing 5 sets per body part. So now I'm going to add volume. I'm going to do 7 sets per body part. Whoa. You just added more volume to everything. Okay. So the right way to do it would be like, I'm going to add volume next week. I'm going to go 7 sets for this one body part. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to stay like that for a while. And now I'm going to go up 2 more sets for another body part. Not all of them at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's a huge bump in volume. Yeah. When people
not to mention those same people are, if they're getting stronger, are naturally adding volume already. Right. So you have to take the. Here's a thought is, and it's how I approach training is I'm going to do the least amount to elicit the most change for as long as I can. So if 15's giving me return. Yeah. And it's the second or third time I'm going to keep running it.
That's right.
And then eventually you will get really strong, really proficient for that low of volume, and then go, okay, now, and then you take Sal's advice of just pick a muscle group. Hey, you know what? I want to work a little more on my shoulders.
That's right.
I'm going to add a shoulder exercise to this routine, or I'm going to add 2 more sets to the already shoulder exercises, and that's it. And then reap the benefits for that for the next month or so. And so step up like that versus I think I can handle more. Let's just do more. It's like, well, why don't you keep squeezing that orange if you're getting juice out of it? If you're still getting juice from the 15,
especially because that's what you did previous to this, right? Like you were always like the high volume and running that for a long period of time. This is a fairly new stimulus for you. Your body's obviously enjoying the process of it. Trying to extend that a little bit makes sense to me.
Yeah, and again, if you're getting stronger, the volume's already added.
Yep.
So you can say to yourself, oh wow, I added volume this week because I did another rep, or I went 5 pounds heavier. But yeah, the idea, and I know what happens mentality wise, it's like, oh, I want to add volume to my whole body, but what happens is you get no return on everything then, right? So pick that one area, add it there, and see what happens. Unless the volume's already been added, and people don't count that. They only count sets. They don't count that they did an extra rep or that they added weight. That's all added volume.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that actually totally makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, good. By the way, look at your whole fitness journey like this. Most of it is cruising. Like 90%, maybe even 95% is cruising. Then you got 5 to 10% sprints.
Yeah, we throttle every now and then.
Everybody does the opposite. 90% sprint, then they cruise when they're forced to. Then 10% of the time I'm chilling. I'm doing deload week. Well, I add up all your deload weeks. It makes up like 5% of all your training. It should look like cruising with little sprints in between. That's how you get consistent progress.
Right. And another thing about 15, it was nice to go into the gym, spend like the 15 minutes, and then afterwards just have that time with my wife, afterwards, and spending time with family, spending time with friends, and not being consumed because like I'm at work, or I'm up for work at 5:30 in the morning, and I don't get home till about 5 at night. And so that's after that would be my gym time. So I'm trying to get in, get out, get back to my family.
Yeah, dude, you got kids.
Even more reason.
Yeah, exactly.
You got kids too?
No, just my wife.
All right, so you'll have kids soon too. Like your fitness will make you better at everything, unless your fitness is your top priority. Then it makes everything worse.
Yeah. So true. You're doing good, Chris.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
I wish I knew this as younger. I wish I knew. And I even struggle with it now because I just love working out so much. But, when I was a kid, if I added volume, it was to everything.
Yeah, I know.
And if I got stronger,
it was always all at once.
And getting stronger, I never thought that was more volume.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing the same 3 sets. Well, yeah, dude, you're doing it twice as much weight. What do you think's gonna happen? It's much more difficult.
Yeah, for the audience, if you're following something like Mass 15 and it's showing you return, you're getting stronger. To your point, you're adding volume. You don't need to change a thing.
Nope.
And I'm gonna ride that as long as I can. I'm gonna, like, if I'm still getting juice out of it, it's like, hey, this is awesome. I'm only doing 2 exercises a day and I'm seeing gains. I'm getting stronger. Ride that, and then eventually you will. You eventually will peak, max out what you're doing with that amount of volume, and then you do what you said. You pick a muscle group and you go, hey, I'm going to add 2 sets.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And then you ride that way for a while, and that you stair step like that, and that sets you up for the next few years of like consistent gains. But what we do is we jump right away to what we can tolerate. And the worst part about that I think is important to explain to the audience is what's deceiving is, let's say he was doing 15 and like I said, and then he goes to like MAPS PED. And the first like 3 weeks of that, he actually sees some results. Like he feels a little stronger, but he's doing so much more. And then it's really quick that body plateaus of that. And then where does he go from there?
Backwards.
Yeah, backwards. And so it's like and it can be deceiving sometimes when someone does that because they can tolerate it and maybe they even see some positive change. But that it was the right amount.
It's crazy to me because even at the highest level of athletics, where millions of dollars are on the line, they have preseason training, they have in-season training and off-season training.
Yeah,
but like NBA players and NFL and the NHL, they don't train hardcore all the time. It's actually a small time.
They just constantly touch the muscle groups just to keep that strength there.
I mean, when I used to train people, even my most consistent clients, like people who like kind of kept everything dialed in, when they hired me, they saw strength gains relatively consistently for 3 years.
Yeah.
Doug got stronger consistently for almost about 3 years, working out 2 or 3 days a week at most. For about 3 years, it was consistent strength gains. So there's a lot of runway. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. One of the keys to fat loss is protein. It's true. If you're not eating a high-protein diet, you're not going to burn as much body fat as you can. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the smartest ways to use protein for fat burn and to build muscle. You got to watch this.
I wish I understood this earlier in my career. I think it was probably almost 10 years in when I started to just focus on this with clients.
I knew it was important,
but
I don't know how important.
Yeah, I knew it was important, but I also didn't